Okay.
Okay. So, because Jim and Brenda live in Marquette and there's no Costco up there, it wasn't worth it for them to have a Costco membership. But they liked shopping at Costco, so whenever I would go to Costco, I'd call up, or if they needed something, they'd say, can we do a Costco run? So we go to Costco, and going to Costco isn't just grabbing stuff and leaving. With Jim and Brenda, it's an event. It's an afternoon outing. So we would start off with going in, and he would treat his girls to the Costco hot dog and brag about what a gentleman he was to take care of his woman with that $1.50 hot dog meal. And we would sit and we would enjoy our meal, and now it was time to go, browse the aisles. So he would go and get a cart, and he would grab Brenda's purse and my purse, and he'd put it in the baby carrier seat, and he'd wrap the seatbelt all around, like twisted amongst our purse straps so it wouldn't get stolen. He'd clip it, and he was in charge of our purses in the cart. And he's just pushing away, and he'd say, "Come on, girls, you can jump on and get a ride." And we did. Like kids. Then we'd go up and down the aisles, and I think the most latest one was there was this newfangled refrigerator that has like double doors. The doors are on the side, and you open the door, and there's a clear window, so if you're doing a quick grab, your stuff's on the front, but if you want the deep refrigerated stuff, there's another inner door that goes to the back stuff back there. So Jim goes into salesman mode, and he's like, "Now ladies, right here we have model 34A, the top of the line," and he's opening the door and he's extolling the virtues of this refrigerator, and we're just laughing. I mean, we're not gonna buy this refrigerator, but and we continued down the aisles, and he stopped because there was a demonstration of a juicer or a blender.
A special Blendtec.
A special Blendtec.
They've updated the model. He has a Blendtec, but they had upgraded it.
Okay. So he's watching this with fascination, and I mean the demonstration probably takes half an hour. So Brenda and I are like, okay, we left him there. And she's off, like, looking at her stuff, and I went off to get like cardboard boxes or something.
And he's still talking.
And he was still there talking to the guy about the virtues of the juicer. I think secretly he probably wanted to be a juicer salesman, So at some point he caught up with me, goes, "I lost Brenda." And I said, "Oh, she's looking at such and such," and here I was getting, whatever my items were, and then we'd find Brenda, and then we'd wander through. But inevitably, we would always end in the jarred fruit aisle because we have to see if they had mangoes or peaches. Now,
This is the mangoes. and
mangoes
this is
came
the
in here,
peaches jar.
peaches came in here. Now you have to understand, Jim wasn't excited about the mangoes or the peaches. He was excited about the jars. It was all about the jars. And Brian and I would tease him, like, you've got a jar fetish. And he would get this, remember that little look he would get? He'd get all,
I know, like you discovered who I really am.
and it was just funny because we loved teasing him about the jars. So I think I will always remember Jim about the mango jars and his jar fetish.
And he would reuse these jars in his pantry.
Which
He
is
really
obvious.
did not like labels and packaging, and he didn't like brands. And because of that, I'm very much against Ellen DeGeneres being on the oat cereal Cheerios brand. I hope they get her off there, and I hope they put a war hero on. But that's not the case right now. But anyway,
He loved the glass.
this came from Spain. This was the mangoes.
Oh.
And this was the peaches. Now the peaches, peach in light syrup. Now I know Steve, you really like peaches, and Jim was so happy that he could serve you peaches. But this jar is from Spain, and this product, the only ingredients are peach, water, sugar, not corn syrup, kids.
Yeah.
And then it says product of Spain. So this was his quest, was to find good products that did not include corn syrup. And he would read the labels patiently, and he would collect the jars. So when he would, this is full of dried blueberries from Traverse City.
But mangoes came in it.
But mangoes came in it. And this company, these two companies in Spain It's the same company.
Can I share another story when you're talking
Please
about the
do.
quality of the products that he liked?
Okay.
So, you were in Marquette at the time, but I had stopped by, I don't remember what reason for. And I was on my way out the door, and as he walked me out the door, there was a package that was just delivered. And
Okay.
he was like a kid at Christmas. Oh, my package came. Come in, see what I got. I'm like, okay. So we come back in, we're at this table, literally, and he gets, what's that little pocket knife that I always carry?
The,
Pulled out his pocket.
oh, the Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army knife.
He's known for that
And
knife.
he always carried it, right? So he
Right.
opens this box, and I'm watching, and he pulls it out, and it's tea towels. And he's like, look at my tea towels came. And I'm like, what? Like, you know, what man gets excited about tea towels? And he goes, oh, and he's stroking them, and he's all excited about his tea towels. And I said, Jim, those are the kinds you're gonna have to iron, like they're linen. And he says, oh, I love to iron. He goes, isn't it just nice? It brings you joy just to have crisp tea towels just there. And I saw a whole different side of Jim that I'd never seen before. I thought, here's a guy that kayaks and shoots, but he also enjoys the finer things in life like tea towels.
And these are examples of his tea towels.
Ah. Yep.
Wow, I never knew.
These plain ones, these plain white ones, he liked because he could bleach them. And once he got in the kitchen, anything could happen. And he grabbed any towel, and I was always trying to keep them nice and clean. But he liked to have a functional kitchen. It was more like a science lab than a kitchen.
Yes. And he came to our home and helped declutter and downsize our home. And he was very good at organizing. And just out of the kindness of his heart, he spent many hours.
Now this is all the California missions, isn't it? Oh, Highway 1, California's missions, Yosemite, Hollywood, beaches, desert, wine country, Disneyland, and Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh,
All the
high
highlights.
points of the
Mhm.
state.
All the highlights of the state.
I think he got one from that company.
And you can get, it's that same.
That's it.
He really liked cards. This one came from his friend, this is Jude's sister, and it says, Jim, have a happy birthday, or the kid gets it. You know we love you. And then it signed Lily, and also Jude's sister. See you this summer, brother. And this is Scott. This is his friend Scott. Now Jim said Scott, emergency retired physician, a tsunami card, and it said Scott's effort to turn back the tide of humanity. And there's a sumo wrestler, and they're trying to hold the great tsunami wave, that famous Oriental painting. They're trying to hold that tide back. But they had a joke about Godzilla that was ongoing. And then this one he got from a neighbor, and it says, a special delivery of love to you on Valentine's Day, Picky, Bev, and Harold. Now these two people, they're in their 80s, and they're world travelers. They're part of the Century Club. They've traveled everywhere in the world. There's a card that's missing here, and it's John Ashby's card. And John never signs his cards, and we always felt that he should sign his cards. But when Julia came to help me, I put a gratuity in there. Julia needed to get new car tires to drive from San Francisco. She then, in the course of getting the new tires, she found that her car needed repair, and she did everything possible to be here. And so I put a gratuity in it, and it's from Desert Photos by John Ashby. And I said to Julia something to the effect that, St. Elmo's Fire, just take this money and thank you for everything, and I hope it helps you at least pay for gas to get here, because she drove through the night to get here. So
And Brenda, how did Julia meet Jim? Maybe you could...
Julia met Jim at the church. Julia attended the Episcopal Church, and she was taking this, well, I'll have to have her tell you the story. But it started with, Jim went into the church and asked for a good realtor. And she happened to be there at the service that night at the Episcopal Church. And one thing led to another, and he was walking Rico, his nightly walk with Rico, and the pastor of the church introduced the two of them. So it's been a fast and binding friendship that has got us through the good times and through the bad. And it's always turned out for the good whenever Julia's involved. I always say she should be a senator's wife. So anyway, I wish she were here now, but she's with her children. But she can tell her own story and hopefully be taped.
Yeah.
Thank
Dogs. And we don't have any. And so Piccolino and Bella and Rudy are our little visitors. And it's not a problem if at least two of them are there, because they're used to being only children and they totally ignore one another. And so sometimes we have two of them. Yeah, right, Picky? So Picky just spent a few days with us in the desert. And he's a sweet little gentle dog. He's really
He
sweet.
is.
And Rico actually went to Canada with us. Jim said, "Could you watch Rico?" And I go, "Well, Jim, we're supposed to go to Canada, to see my friend. This is 3 hours north of International Falls, Minnesota, really in the boonies." So I call my girlfriend and she says, "Oh, I love dogs." I said, "Yeah, but this one has long white hair." I don't care. We arrived at Ruth Ann's, and before I could do anything, Rico was in her windowsill, because she had a platform there. And I thought, oh no, he's gonna scratch her windowsill. She goes, "Oh, that's all right." So Rico spent his time looking out the window at the eagle, and the eagle spotting him.
Oh.
So we were very careful. But
And
they
can-
look just alike.
Can you tell what has happened with Ruth Ann now and how she got a little white dog of her own and how
Yeah.
she still makes the trip?
Yes, my girlfriend
But
tried.
Karshi?
Yeah, my girlfriend was married at 16 to a Hungarian who had fled the country during their uprising and problems, and she finished high school, and Karchi came back from, where was he, Guam or someplace, and Okinawa, and they were stationed then in Quantico in Virginia, and she had finished high school, and they took off and went to Quantico, and then they came back to a little farming community in Illinois, and they ran a restaurant, and it really was a true love story. They were together, they were inseparable, and she's 80, and she turns 81 February 26th, and she's practically all deaf because she has a cochlear implant, and it scares the bejeebers out of her kids and us. And off she takes in her van all by herself and travels 12 hours, stays in a motel, and drives 6 hours the next day into her cabin in Canada. And this is a good story. Walter Mondale was in Congress at the time, and he heard that Karchi, Ruth Ann's husband, had this garage. So he came over and he said, "I understand you have a garage. We're building, but we haven't finished, and could I leave my boat in your garage?" And Karchi said, "Well, you certainly can, but I do have to tell you, I didn't vote for you." And Mondale said, "So did a lot of people."
Yeah, it was 1984.
In 1984?
Presidential election.
Yeah, yeah.